Welcome back to the best damn training channel on YouTube. This is the last sprint day of this week for the Summer of Speed program. We're finishing up week 7, which is going to be the heaviest, hardest week of this training block. And then supposed to be doing a deload, but remember I got sick and I lost a week of training. So I'm skipping the deload. I'm going straight into week 9 next week. So what I'm doing is kind of changing up today's format a little bit so it can make an easier transition as we get into week 9. So we're gonna do some fly float flies. We're gonna do some 30s, some 40s, and then some flying 30s today. Trying to keep the quality on these pretty high, but I still wanna have maximum intensity and try to push the amount of volume that I can do today. So create some fatigue today. We'll do a little bit of lifting tomorrow, but it won't be too fatiguing by having that there. But the transition that I'm doing is starting off with the fly float flies. I've been doing 10-meter acceleration zone, a 10-meter float zone, so I'm not trying to sprint as hard as I can, and then a 10-meter max velocity zone. We've extended that out now to 15 meters, so 15-meter acceleration zone, 15-meter float zone, and then a 15-meter max velocity zone. I'm using this as more of like a prep for my 30s, 40s, and then my flying 30s. So I'm not trying to make this the focus of the workout. What I'm doing is using this first 15 meters to kind of work on some acceleration, getting up into a float, and then I'm gonna probably hit these back 15s at about 90, 95%. I don't wanna blow myself up too much before I get into like the work that I wanna do. So the focus is gonna be those 30s, 40s, and the flying 30s at the end. So we'll probably do 2 to 3 quality reps on this. I got the timing eyes out just because I want to see some times on some things, even though I'm not going to be sprinting my hardest. So I don't think the times are going to be very relevant comparative to everything else that we're going to do today, but it's always fun to get some times on this. So I'm more focused on like what this back 15 is going at like 90, 95%. So that's going to be the focus for today. I'm going to go line it up. We're going to knock off a rep here and see how this goes. If I'm being honest, that last rep there wasn't 90, 95%. That was like go hard because it just felt really good. But was able to hit 21.65 miles an hour on the second rep and 21.10 miles an hour on the first rep. And that first rep is probably closer to 90, 95%. Second rep, I felt really good in that transition and I felt good upright. So I just sprinted through the last 15 meters there. Now I have the times on those, but I haven't been running 15, so I don't know really what to compare those to. So I'm not really focused on the times today. I'm focused on like seeing where the speeds are for these sections. Now, what we're gonna do today is we're gonna start off with some 30s and some 40s, and we're gonna end with the max velocity fly-ins. So I'll have a 15-meter build-up zone into a 30-meter fly. We'll measure the 10-meter sections of that 30-meter fly and get some speeds on that. The reason why I'm doing the 30s and 40s first and then doing the max velocity section at the end is because the focus is the 30s and 40s. I need to work on that transition from accelerating really well into transitioning into a smooth upright max velocity session, because usually I can do really well max velocity if I have a build-up zone, then I just take off and sprint. When I put my hand on the ground and I'm going from that 3-point stance, I have a tendency to accelerate really well, transition kind of poorly, and get into a suboptimal max velocity section. So I want to try to work on that today, which is why we're doing the 30s and 40s. The 30s will allow me to feel like I'm driving through 30 meters, and then we'll add 10 more meters at the end of that, and we'll go for 40 meters and see what we can do if we can't transition and run really well. So that's going to be the focus for today's training session. Now, there is one thing I wanted to talk about today, because I've been getting a lot of messages on Instagram lately, and it has to do with hybrid athletes. And I don't know when this started, why it started, how it started, but defining what a hybrid athlete has been a debate online for whatever reason, because people, I guess, are bashing hybrid athletes by just saying like, oh, you run and lift, that makes you a hybrid athlete. Well, what if I run and lift and I go swimming and I go riding my bike? Like, does that make me a hybrid? Like, and I think it's silly, to be honest. All right, this is the example that came to my head when I was thinking about this, and I'm not trying to marginalize anybody, and I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody, but whatever, like in the world of fitness, people like to associate their identity with something. I'm a bodybuilder, I'm a power lifter, I'm a CrossFitter, I'm a weightlifter, I'm a hybrid athlete, or whatever it might be. all of that to me is like, it's the LGBTQ equivalent in the fitness world. It's like, who gives a shit what you identify as? Just go train and have fun. And I'm not, like I said, I know you start throwing out letters and people start getting offended. I'm not trying to say this, that, or the other. I'm just saying, to me, that's the equivalent, is like, I have to have this identity and you have to agree with my identity. Now, the hybrid athlete thing is a hot topic, because I think I did have a couple people send me some posts on Instagram of some like big name influencer people in the fitness space, and they were bashing hybrid. And then obviously there's some hybrid people who had some throwing some shots back and forth. And I thought it was hilarious, because that was the only thing that came to my mind, was like, everyone has an identity issue right now. Like, who gives a shit? If, like, whatever your definition of hybrid is, congratulations, you're a hybrid athlete. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna stay right here. This is my lane, and we're gonna sprint, and we're gonna jump, and we're gonna lift heavy, and we're gonna have fun. Some people think I'm a hybrid athlete because I can sprint and lift and do this, that, and the other. Cool, good to you, good for you. I'm not even an athlete. I don't compete in shit. I just train for fun and train to have fun. Now, I will be competing in Apex, but that's gonna be coming later on down the road. But this is where I'm at right now. You guys have fun with your little, let's call it fitness identities, right? Maybe in the fitness world, we need to create our own kind of like LGBTQ type thing, where it's like H, B, B, W, whatever, hybrid, bodybuilding, weightlifting, powerlifter, CrossFitter thingy. I don't fucking know, but all right, we're about to run some 30s here to get going. I just wanted to get that off my chest. I apologize if I offended anybody. I'm not actually sorry, because if you got offended from that, I feel like you're pretty soft. But 30 meters, and as we do these 30s, we're gonna do it in 15. So 0 to 15, 15 to 30. Slowed down. Damn it, I slowed down on that one. I popped up, I looked, I was just like, So we got a little bit of a slower number here, but 395. I lost track where I was at. All right, we're gonna do this again, trying not to slow down. I don't know what I caught out the corner of my eye, but I saw something and I thought I was at the finish line, and I stopped about right here, and then I could see the blinking light, and I was like, damn, I slowed up way too soon. So we're gonna do this again. No slowing down. 3 milligrams in, by the way. So we're gonna start having some good reps here. All right, so a little bit of adjustment. Rather than doing 40s, we're gonna do 45s. And that's just because the cones are set up the way they are right now. Makes it easier to do 45. So we'll get 3 15-meter sections timed off, 0 to 15, 15 to 30, 30 to 45. Now, the 30s went well, promising. Made it up to 21.72 miles an hour, which I think is like a 103-ish if we were to break that down to a 10-meter section. So I think pushing towards 22 should happen somewhere within these 45s or the flying 30s when we reset the cones and do that. 2 to 3 reps here, and I'm expecting the first one to be a little bit slower, but rep 2 and 3, I think we got 22 miles an hour again. No, it didn't read. That one didn't read. Let me see. Son of a bitch. Yeah, that one didn't read. Damn, it felt decent. First rep there, I got 21.5 miles an hour, but for whatever reason, that second one didn't read. So, damn. I guess we'll do, yeah, I feel like I only got a couple good reps left in me. So I'm gonna reset the timing, guys. And we're gonna go straight into the max velos, because I got 2 good reps left in me, I feel like, before I start getting a little bit too tired. So 15-meter build, 30-meter fly. We'll measure off those 10-meter sections. So we'll get the first 10 of the 30, the 10 to 20 for that 30, and then the 20 to 30 on all those. And we'll do 2 solid reps on this, and we'll see where we're at on this. Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot. Oh. Okay. 313. I don't know if you guys can see that bottom number there. 0.99. We're back into the 90s for a flying 10. 22.6 miles an hour. Let's fucking go. 313, I think, is my best time on that as well. So this is really weird. My first 10, I went 104. My second 10, I went 110. So I got considerably slower there. And then my last one, I did a 0.99, which put me at 22.60 miles an hour. So I think I was way too focused on that back 10, which is fine because I like the mile an hour that I'm seeing there, but a little sloppy on that second 10 there. All right, so we cleaned it up, got faster overall, but top speed was only 2193. And that's because we didn't have that weird 10 meter section there. But a 310 is pretty damn good for a flying 30 with a 15 meter build. I'm loving this. All right, I'm absolutely loving what I saw today. A 2260 is my fastest mile an hour within the first 8 weeks of this program. So we're hitting our best speeds at the right time because we're going to start going into a more peaking type-ish phase where we're going to be focusing a lot more on this max velocity. And that 2260 there is very promising to me. I should be able to be hitting close to 23 in the coming weeks. I'll probably have a dip next week as we change up the program and we get into a new training block. So we'll probably see that 22 start going down. But then I would say like week 10 and 11, we should be up towards 23 miles an hour. And then week 12, we're going to test it and see how fast we can actually run. But I'm absolutely fucking loving that number right there. 2260 is amazing. A 0.99 for a 10 meter fly is elite. And now, when I say elite, I'm not talking about like world championship, Olympic level elite, obviously. I'm talking about my audience, like the people who go to the gym to train, just to train and have fun, and people who sprint often, but it's not like we're athletes and we're competing at an elite level in anything. So when I say elite, I mean elite for us. So amazing. That second rep, 310, also very fucking elite for a 30 meter fly on a 15 meter build. So that's going to be it for today. Tomorrow we're going to go into weight room, do a little bit of a combo session. We're going to do some squats. We're going to do some cleans, probably do some bench press and some other stuff like that. So I'll film that for you guys tomorrow once we're in the gym. But other than that, man, today's phenomenal and I appreciate y'all for watching. So make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.